Okay, so we're on the back side of day 6 notes, proving identities, and we're on number 5, and it says, which of the following polynomial equations are valid identities? And so again, anytime you see that word identity, you're really just checking to make sure that the left side equals the right side. If it does, it's an identity. If it doesn't, it's not. So in part A here, it looks like we have 2 possibilities of these equations being identities or not. And so if you look at your choices, you can see that maybe the first one is, maybe the second one is, maybe both are, maybe none of them are. So basically you got to do both. There's no way of getting around it. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this one. And I can see that on this side, the left-hand side, that I can expand that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so that's 5b minus 2 times 5b minus 2. Again, if you're more of a box person, you would set up your box and multiply them through that way. Okay. There's also a plus 4 tacked on after it's been squared, if you notice right here. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and see if it's equal to that other side. And so if I go ahead and distribute, 5b times 5b is 25b squared. If I distribute again, that's a negative 10b. In the middle here, that's a negative 10b. And then I have a negative 2 times a negative, which is a positive 4. Oh, this happened last time too. Positive 4. Okay. And then there's that also that plus 4 attached on there. And we'll see if that equals the other side once we clean this up. So there's only one b squared term. So 25b squared stays. Negative 10b and negative 10b are not opposites. They actually combine to make negative 20b. And positive 4 and positive 4 make positive 8. And now that that side's cleaned up, let's go ahead and see if it is or not. So we have a 25b squared, and so do we. They have a negative 20b, and so do we, but we have a plus 8. And I'm pretty sure that plus 8 is supposed to be there because that negative 2 times that negative 2 gives you that positive 4. And then there was that other positive 4 attached on it. And 2 positives 4 makes positive 8. So I'm going to go ahead and slash this equal sign and say that this is not an identity. We have a positive 8 on the left-hand side, and they don't have a positive 8 there after there are 2 terms on the right-hand side. And so I'm going to go ahead and say that A is not an identity. So only A being an identity? No, A is not an identity. Both A and B? No, A is not an identity. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the next one. And let's see what we can do on this one. So again, I see on the left-hand side, I can go ahead and distribute those 2 together. If you're a box person, you might want to set up the box. All right, and I'm going to leave it right where it is, and I'm going to go ahead and do my rainbows. So 2x squared times 2x squared is a 4x to the 4th. Remember, you add your exponents when you're multiplying. And you distribute again, that's going to give you a negative 2x squared y squared. In the middle here, that's going to give you a positive 2x squared y squared. And then your very last here is going to give you a positive times a negative is a negative. Y squared times y squared is y to the 4th. Again, you add your exponents when you're multiplying. Okay. Taking a look, I only have a 4x to the 4th. Nobody like him. And then here in the middle, we have a negative 2x squared y squared and a positive 2x squared y squared. Well, those are opposites of each other. One's negative, one's positive, and they're exactly the same besides that. And so they're going to actually cancel each other out, and then a minus y to the 4th. And now I'm going to go ahead and see if that's what they have. So they have a 4x squared. Ooh, we do have a 4x to the 4th. So that is not the same. And so we're going to go ahead and slash the equal sign. This is not an identity. I can double check, but you got an x squared times an x squared. That's going to give you an x to the 4th. You add your exponents. So I'm confident that that's wrong. And so we're going to go ahead and say only B is an identity. No, B is not an identity. And so we're going to have to go with choice 4, which is neither. Neither one of those have the left side equaling the right side. Okay. Down here in number 6. Oh, you know what? This happened last time. Oh, we can move that up too. All right. Doesn't normally scroll like that, but apparently today it does. So number 6, it says algebraically determine the values of h and k to correctly complete the identity stated below. And if we take a look at that identity, it is quite a lot of terms. But on the left-hand side, I can see that there's not much to do. But on the right-hand side, it looks like we could distribute. You got a bunch of h and k's in there. So let's see what happens. We're going to put up that wall for our identity. And again, if you're a box person, you might want to set up your box like a 2x3 because you got a binomial here and a trinomial here. But then don't forget you got that plus k on the end. So I'm going to go ahead and do my rainbows. And we end up with a x times 2x squared, which is 2x cubed. And then we have an hx times x, so that's a positive hx squared. And then distribute one more time, and that's a plus 3x. Plus 3x. Okay, the x has been distributed, and so now it's negative 4's turn. Negative 4 times 2x squared is negative 8x squared. Distribute again, that's a negative 4 hx. And distribute one more time, and that's going to give you a negative 12. But don't forget to put that plus k on the end there. All right, and so that I'm going to just drop this side down. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to see what we have. Here we have a cube term. Here we have a cube term. Good news, they match. So far, so good. All right, next one up. They have a squared term with a coefficient of negative 10. We have a squared term and a squared term, and one has a coefficient of negative 8. So can you think about what you would put in for this h so that if I take that number and I subtract 8 from it, I get negative 10? If you wanted to make this a negative 2x squared, you are correct. And therefore, that negative 2x squared and that negative 8x squared are going to combine to give you that negative 10x squared. And so right here, you can see that h becomes negative 2. And we got one of the variables done. Okay, all right, let's see what we got for x terms. We have a positive 11x here, and here we have a positive 3x, but then we also have a minus 4hx. Oh, wait a minute, didn't we just find h? H ended up being negative 2, right? So if we put that in, negative 4 times negative 2, this actually ends up being positive 8x. And so now if I look, a positive 3x here and a positive 8x is positive 11x. So that works. Okay, keep it going. We have one more to look at, and that's negative 7, the numbered term. And we have a negative 12 plus k. So now we have to think, what can k be? What can I put in for it so that if I do and combine negative 12 with it, I get negative 7? Can you think? If you wanted to put a positive 5 here, you'd be correct. Negative 12 plus 5 would give you negative 7. And so now we figured out that k has to equal 5. And there they are. So we got h equaling negative 2, and we got k equaling 5. And we solved it. By making those variables, those numbers, the left side would come out to equal the right side. A little bit tricky. It's like a puzzle. All right, one last one, and that's number 7. Number 7 says verify the following Pythagorean identity for all values of x and y. So you don't really need to know that it's the Pythagorean identity. We just have to be able to realize that they're asking us to verify, aka prove, an identity. So we're basically trying to get that left side to equal the right side. And so we're going to go ahead and put up our wall. Remember that we can't cross it. And I see something I can do on the left-hand side here with that binomial squared. And I know that means x squared plus y squared times x squared plus y squared. Okay. On the other side, I get another binomial squared, so we can go ahead and write that one out twice too. This might be one of those ones where we have to tweak the left side and the right side to get them to match. And then there's a plus, and that's a 2xy all squared. So again, that's 2xy times 2xy. Okay, all right, let's put it all together. Here we go. X squared times x squared, x to the fourth. X squared times y squared is positive x squared y squared. Y squared times x squared is a positive x squared y squared. And a y squared times a y squared is a positive y to the fourth. Again, remember you add your exponents when you're multiplying. Okay. On the other side, we have an x squared times an x squared, so an x to the fourth. That's going to give you a minus x squared y squared. That's going to give you a minus x squared y squared. A negative times a negative is a positive y to the fourth. And then we got a 2xy times a 2xy. So 2 times 2 is 4x squared y squared. Again, when you're multiplying, you add the exponents. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back all the way back to the left-hand side and clean anything up that I can. And the only thing that seems like it can be cleaned up are those two. So the x to the fourth is going to come down. An x squared y squared plus an x squared y squared would give you positive 2x squared y squared plus that y to the fourth. Okay. On the other side here, looks like we only have an x to the fourth. So far that matches my left side. We have a negative x squared y squared minus x squared y squared plus 4x squared y squared. Those are all like terms because they have the same variables with the same exponents. So that's basically a negative 1 minus 1, which is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 4 is a positive 2x squared y squared, which does match. And then our very last term is that positive y to the fourth. Everybody's been taken care of, and this left side is equal to that right side. And so we can go ahead and say we verified that identity. It works out. All right, so that's identity. It's okay. So remember, put up your wall. Don't really cancel too much stuff out, especially more so with fractions with the denominators. And don't cross the equal sign. Don't move stuff from the left side to the right side. Keep it on its side. All right, and try to get the left side to equal the right side and double check your work. All right, hopefully that helps. See you guys in the next lesson.